Action. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, first up is the good news, and that's me. From the high school, Jeremy Metler. Many of the students in Mr. Metler's classes and study hall have been stating that Mrs. Traver has been reviewing for the AP in U.S. government and politics in a way that is interesting and extremely helpful. When I hear students complimenting a teacher's lesson plan, it must be good because students do not usually compliment lessons plans. From the middle school, Kristen Gomez. A huge shout out to Tom Bringenberg, Dan Rhodes, and Dan Palant for the amazing work they are doing over here at BMS for our MBK students. Their dedication to this group of young men is making a huge difference in their lives and in the culture of our school. From Robert Morris, Deb Wolf, Dr. Amanda C. Demmer Ambrose, a 2005 BHS graduate and alumni of Jackson and BMS, was nominated by her graduate students as Faculty of the Year at Virginia Tech. Amanda is an associate professor of history. Her specialties are U.S. foreign relations, war and society, migration studies, and human rights. Amanda is my daughter. And then from the district, from Dr. Corey, the Kindness Club recently published a book of stories of kind acts. They are true, heartfelt stories told by our students at BMS. Kudos to the teachers, Alyssa Smith and Heather Licata, and students who worked hard to publish important messages with kindness as the theme. And there's plenty more good news to read, so please, when you get the opportunity, read some more. Next up would be Student Ex Officio's report, Peyton Wooler.
Before I go into what I wrote down, just to add on to the high school, shout out to Mrs. Traver. I'm one of her AP government students, and I'm amazed by how much she prepared us for that test. There were so many times during the AP on Monday where I was like, oh, she taught us exactly what this was. She taught us exactly what this was. And I'm just so happy. That was by far the most prepared I've ever felt for an AP, and I'm so happy with how she taught it as well. I totally agree with what Mr. Metler wrote. On what I wrote, last Friday we had Stars of Tomorrow. For those who don't know, Stars of Tomorrow is an award showcase for high school theaters in our area. So we were joined by 44 other school districts, and it was an amazing experience. We had two areas where we were featured as performers. Liliana Burke, Gavin Tripney, and I, we were in the opening number. So we were joined by 96 other students from all of the different districts to participate in the opening number for the showcase itself. And getting to interact with all of those other school districts was just amazing to see how we're different in some ways, but like we're all so similar in like how we love theater, and it was just such an amazing experience to bond with all of them. For our school specifically, we did a part of our show, we did I'm Free or Heaven Helps the Man, which was our Act 1 finale, and so we did a 2-minute, 30-second segment of that. We chose it mainly because so we get adjudicated by RBTL, which basically means they watch our show and they judge us on different areas. There's specific student adjudications, and then there's the show as a whole. And in this, they wrote that this song was our highest energy song. It was clean, it was crisp, they loved it. And so that, along with the fact that it featured all of our ensemble, we decided to go with that. And it was incredible being on that stage because it's a touring Broadway stage in front of thousands of people. It's so surreal of a moment. So last year we left there with 0 awards and 3 recognitions out of our 8 performers who were adjudicated. At the end of this, we walked out with 4 awards and 6 out of 6 recognitions for our adjudicated students. So that would be Lily Burke, Melania Desai-Frias, Kate Woodward, Gavin Tripany, Ephraim Hanna, and I. We were all recognized, which was incredible because normally they do 3 to 4 for a school. And to have every single one of our adjudicated members recognized was insane. We needed 2 pages in their presentation. For the awards we won Excellent Acting Ensemble, Excellent Vocal Ensemble, Excellent Dance Ensemble, and Excellent Student Orchestra. It was just an amazing experience to be at, and I'm so grateful that as a district we have this opportunity. Staying on track with the music, I also have some photos from the night, and I'll just pass around if you'd like to take a look. Staying on track with the music department, 2 Fridays ago, which was May 3rd, Mr. Murtaugh and Mrs. Cantello took the high school orchestra and wind ensemble students to go to the Buffalo Philharmonic Orchestra. The performance, I asked Murtaugh to write a summary of the event. He said that the performance was engaging and enjoyable for the students, some of whom bought some music and BPO-themed souvenirs. Overall, it was a great trip for the students, and the teachers are hoping that they'll have the opportunity to do it again next year. I had friends who went on this trip, and they loved it. It was such an amazing experience to see a professional orchestra performing. Once they got back, I just constantly kept hearing just how amazing of an experience it was. We're currently halfway through AP season. Obviously, we're all exhausted from it. It's been a long year, and APs are always tiring, but from what I've heard from students so far, we definitely are going to have some high scorers in our district. Personally, I've had my AP Government and my AP Psychology test so far, which I felt confident on, especially due to the teachers who taught me all of this information. And tomorrow I have my AP Music Theory exam, which I definitely feel prepared for. Obviously, Mrs. Haggett taught me my regular music theory class. Mr. Murtaugh is the one who taught me my AP Music Theory, and both of them were just incredible teachers in that area. For our sports, many have started their senior nights. Lacrosse is their senior night tonight. I've talked to my senior friends, and all of them just love this experience from it. They love the senior night because it makes them feel appreciated by the team, and it makes them feel loved by their community. One of my friends, Sophia Menudo, was talking about some of the gifts that she received from her teammates, and she was just so happy with how everything had went. And so I'm just very appreciative that we have such an amazing community.
All good?
All good.
Dave, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Enjoy the lacrosse.
Have a good night.
All right, next up would be the budget hearing presentation from Mr. Smith, our superintendent.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. As is required, this is the annual budget presentation. I want to begin by thanking Mr. Lang, Dr. Corey, and Mrs. Finnegan for their work on the budget. Our process began back in February with looking at state aid numbers, revenue, and expenses. I want to thank the board for their feedback along the way. As you know, this was a particularly challenging budget year for many school districts. We were not the exception. There were several extenuating circumstances, issues with state aid, foundation aid, COVID funds, so all those were taken into account, staffing need, and we're proud and pleased to present this budget for the voters' consideration next Tuesday. Of course, guiding all budget decisions are our mission and vision statement. We keep those in mind as we go through and look at lines and programs and staffing and our needs. And of course, we want to make sure that we're aligned to a strategic plan, a safe and orderly environment, collaborative culture, clear and accessible curriculum and effective teaching. Those again should guide our processes and budget decisions. And pleased to say that this budget we have here, that we're going to present next week, is consistent with these expectations. So I always like to talk about teeter-totter when I talk about budget presentations. If you recall, when we were children, we would go at the school playground, and you always want to try to balance that teeter-totter, right? Make sure that both sides are equal. So when it's budget building is very much like that. What are the needs of the school district? What are the needs of our staff and community? And we want to have a budget that is, of course, respectful to as many sides as possible. We want to have a budget that is, affordable, contains high-quality programs for our students, as you heard Peyton speak about earlier in his report from our AP classes. All these items are important. I often say, I would not want to picture a school without items that really make a school, a football team, a marching band, an orchestra, AP courses. These are really what makes schools like to take it special. So I always like to talk about the teeter-totter example. They'll try to have a balanced budget that is, reflective of our needs as a school district, and also being a good fiscal stewards for our school community. In addition to the strategic plan items, these are some of the guidelines that we follow. Of course, we want to follow all mandates and health and safety and legal expectations. We have several contracts we have to follow, and we have to honor those. As I showed you before, make sure that the programs we have in place are vital to our success, making sure those are funded. And the challenge this year, as you heard over and over again, is foundation aid did not increase. We were fully funded last year, but this year, through some intense processes, we were able to maintain a flat foundation aid. It was going to be reduced just by a bit, so we were excited to get back to a 0% increase. That's to be continued next year with the state. Also, with the budget options, we had COVID-19 grant funds that were running out. These officially ran out in September. Those totaled just under $6 million, so those were used to offset some costs. As I mentioned, state aid was flat. As you see in an upcoming slide, our transportation costs have increased, and we have the other fixed cost salaries, benefits, looking at fund balance and reserves. And then, of course, the other challenge is we have a tax cap, making sure that we are within the tax cap, and then we're also looking at our enrollment numbers. So those are the main budget points there, making sure that we maintain or enhance what we currently have. Our extracurricular activity offerings are very important. They really define what a school is. Resources for our students. We're going to talk a little bit about a grant that we have secured to provide more support for the social and emotional learning needs of our students. Looking at staffing needs as a result of loss of some COVID funding. Also looking at enrollment. We did have some retirements, and those we're looking to now fill as well. The tax levy increases within the tax cap, and all this is aligned to our plan that I showed you before. So this is really old news, but just as a review with what we have set aside for our different funds and appropriations. We are looking at reducing 7 grant-funded positions via COVID-19. We have 5 positions that we reduced based on enrollment, 5 through attrition, and then we did take 7 positions, social workers and such. We moved them out of the general fund and put them into ongoing grants. That's both good to a degree, but it's going to give us some challenges next year to talk about. Obviously, if we keep all 7 of those in the general fund, that's going to increase our expenses. We did reduce equipment. We did reduce school supplies for all students. We did reduce one administrator by half. And then, all that being said is bad news. The good news is we were able to secure some grant funding to provide additional support for our students. We were able to reestablish 3 instructional coaching positions, and then 2, actually it's 3 now, isn't it wrong? 3 SEL positions?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's actually 3 social emotional learning positions now. We were able to increase that by 1 more. So we have 3 of those teachers that will be throughout the district to provide support for our students with the mental and social and emotional learning needs. So that's 3 and 3, not 3 and 2. Our enrollment figures, you've seen this before, Andy has showed these in his presentations, nothing's changed there. That's our current population. Speaking of which, that's the rock band. There's a rock band concert going on tonight at 7 o'clock. If we're done early, we may be able to see the tail end of that. So there's our enrollment numbers. The board may recall a couple years ago we had an enrollment study done, and what our projections were, we took those into account as we walked through the budget process. Demographics, that's the face of our district. Here's our staffing needs, or our staffing, our current staffing situation. This is, as of right now, this does not reflect numbers into next year. Graduation rate, we are competitive with schools our size. We did see a dip from 2021 to 2023. I know we're working hard to get that back up to the 90s. It's still a competitive rate, and we're proud of that. We're also very proud, as you saw back in December, of our ELA scores. We looked at schools our size. Really what the bottom line is here is you can see where we rank. We're out of the first, second, or third in all categories and in all grades. So that's a credit to our instructional team, our teachers, our principals, our central office staff. Brian was here for some of the success we had experienced last year in John Kennedy. So we are very proud of those academic scores, and I think it's honestly money well spent. We want our kids achieving at high levels. We want them in the on the football team, marching band. We want them achieving at a high level. That's the most important factor. So this is grades 3 through 8 ELA up through last year. So you can see first, second, or third. Similar stats for math. Again, our students are performing at high levels compared to schools our size and with our similar demographics. First, second, third, in one category we were fourth. We take a lot of pride in these numbers and want our public to recognize that our teachers, our staff, our support staff, we all work on a common effort to get these positive results, and we're very proud of these results. And again, it's an investment in our public education that's what we want to see. So these are all the things, these are the pieces that we don't have to have, that we have in this budget for next week. We don't have to have kindergarten. We don't have to have music, instrumental lessons, the plays and musicals that Peyton talked about. Our social workers that are having a huge impact. I was speaking with the assistant principals this afternoon at the middle school. Couldn't say enough good things about our social worker there, all the positive pieces she's doing for our students. Our technology program, we sent students to Washington, D.C. last year and this year. We had some conversation about our girls' flag football team. That's been very well received. More lists, our art show, our art exhibit, advanced placement, GCC, our interscholastic athletic, smaller class sizes. We have our security aides. We have two school resource officers in the budget for next year. That has not changed. That continues to be a main goal. Our teaching aides, librarians, and we have students that take advantage of both these on a regular basis. All these pieces are still in the budget for next week and next year. So here are the dollars and cents. The proposed budget for next year is just over $60 million. It's an increase of 2.25% from our current budget into our budget into next year. Out of that, we're supporting that with a tax levy, proposed tax levy increase of 2.26%, whereas the consumer price index is almost double that, or just almost double that. And the tax levy, we're asking for our taxpayers, it's just $450,000. That is our levy, proposed levy for next year to help offset the budget. Tax cap has been around since 2012. It's commonly called the 2% tax cap. It's really a myth because it really isn't 2%. As you can see in our case here, our tax cap number for next year is just over 2%. So once again, there is our proposed tax levy for next year. We're essentially going to the cap next week. More dollars and cents. This is designed to show you the tax levy increase over the past several years, up to 18 years, compared to the CPI. What you want to see here is this column is less than this column. So our tax levy increase has been below the CPI going back 18 years. Another way to look at the budget summary, the amount is still just over $60 million. Budget to budget increase is there. The tax levy increase is 2.26%, and the levy increase is there as well. This is the maximum allowable levy that we're allowed to have for next year. Anything over that, even if we wanted to go 1 penny over, that would require a 60% supermajority. Now we just need a simple majority. Within this budget, by law, I am required to talk about this. We have built in a capital outlay project. A capital outlay is essentially a capital, it's a mini capital project, whereas for every dollar we spend, we get 93 cents back in state aid. And we continue to prioritize senior security. We're looking at Robert Morris next year, some needed improvements there. Again, so this is in the budget for next year. With every dollar spent, we get 92 cents back. Here is our revenue. This compares 23 to 24, which is the year we are now, compared to 24, 25. You can actually see the state source is all state aid, not just foundation aid. Foundation aid is the main source, so all state aid has slightly gone down. These include our expense-based aids, our kids that go to BCSD services, transportation. You have to spend the money first in order to get the aid back. So it's important to recognize again, foundation aid has remained flat from last year to from this year to next year. No increase in foundation aid. Overall, state aid has gone down. Again, property taxes, that number has been the same. It's still 2.26%. Our fund balance and reserves that we're using to offset the budget, and then we've estimated some other revenue as well. So again, we've gone over this before. Nothing new there as well. This breaks it down even further into general support, instruction. We want to see most of your funds being spent. That includes all our academic and extracurricular offerings. Transportation, that has gone up. We have secured a 5-year agreement with a couple of transportation carriers in the area. For that, there's been a big increase in transportation. Employee benefits, health insurance, retirement, social security, debt service, that's essentially our mortgage that we have, and interfund transfers, that's the detailed budget work there. So again, $60 million for the expense side. Tax levy, this is second, and the show is going again. So again, it's a different slide. This shows the tax levy history. We went back 18 years. At one point, it was down to just under 1%, and the 3-year average is about 1.42%. Tax rate projection, again, we don't have a lot of control over this. The assessment figures are subject to change. Essentially, as Andy has addressed before, the estimated increase for every 1,000 that our homes are assessed at, 39 cents. So if your home is assessed at just at $100,000, the proposed tax increase would be $39 more per year. Two propositions on the ballot. We have 3 board member seats up. They're currently held by John Riegel, Jennifer Benede, and Corinne Anderson. We have 4 candidates running. All 3 of our incumbents, and we have, as I said, 3 board member seats are up. So we have 4 candidates, 3 seats. And with that, that's the conclusion of the presentation. Any questions or comments? Again, I want to thank Andy, Tricia, and Molly for their work, the board for their feedback. Andy, anything I missed or you want to offer? No? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. I'm assuming we have no public to be heard or have any questions for the budget process at this time.
That's correct.
So I will need a motion to close the public budget hearing and proceed with our regular meeting agenda. Can I have a motion, please?
So
Okay, well, we'll go. Mr. Riegel will be the first, and Ms. Lindberg will be the second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
All right, we're in a regular budget here, our regular meeting, Board of Education meeting now, and obviously public to be heard. So next up, Mr. Sutton. educational technology update.
I thought I would have brought some of the public for this, but I apologize. So, thank you for having me again. I presented in October, giving an update from the first 4 months in this position, and now we are 5 months later. So, just wanted to kind of remind you in October where we were at. A lot of this year has been focused on the technology department functional review that was done prior to my position being created, and the changes that we made in the technology department. That's really been our roadmap, and it has continued to be in the last 5 months as it was in the first 4 months. In the beginning, it was very important that we got systems in place. We cleaned up a lot of the loose ends that existed in the technology department, and but also important that we didn't lose sight of our strategic plan. And so over the last 5 months, we've really been focused on our strategic plan goal 3 and goal 4, which are clear and accessible curriculum and effective teaching in every classroom. So some of the things that I'm going to go over with you are summer professional development, monthly updates that I give to the district, planning and the future implementation of the New York State Computer Science and Digital Fluency Standards, new processes and procedures that I've put in place, hardware upgrades, software upgrades, network upgrades, and then the introduction of our BCSD technology ongoing learning site as well. Anything that throughout the presentation has an asterisk next to it comes from that technology department functional review, or as we refer to it as the roadmap. So impact on curriculum and instruction thus far. I worked with Mr. Bestine a great deal over the summer and credit to him and the work he put in to create the digital fluency classes at the middle school. Students in these classes in 5th and 8th grade are working on typing, they're working on Google applications, cybersecurity, coding, software development, and website design. I've also worked with some of the high school ELA classes to utilize AI in their junior ELA classrooms for their junior research papers. And that was interesting. I wasn't sure how that would go because, students in high school use, Snapchat AI, and you would think it would be like second nature. But there was a lot of learning to be done, and Mrs. Prisbeth did a wonderful job in working with me. I went in and co-taught with her and really teaching students what AI is, how it can be responsibly used, and we asked for some feedback from them, which I'm going to share some of the highlights. We said, what advice would you give to teachers about trying to use AI in the classroom? And this is what the students said. Make sure people write in their own words when using AI, which was great. I think it should stay only for research purposes. Try not to use it a lot, but have maybe 1 or 2 small units to have it to help you. And students shouldn't have to use AI for each assignment, but some should be requested to be done with it, and some should be requested to be done without it. We also asked them how they felt about using AI in the classroom, because this was kind of their first lesson where we said, use AI, right? We let them just play with it, we let them talk to it, we let them learn it organically, and then we gave them very clear direction. We gave them questions to put into it to help with their research planning. We didn't allow them to use it for any research because learning how to research is a skill in itself that should be taught and learned and practiced, but we allow them to use it and prepare and plan for them to use it as the outline really to plan their research paper. So how did they feel about it? It was a great benefit since I had an idea of my topic, but that helped me to be clear and know 100% what I wanted to write about. It was beneficial to use AI. I got ideas that I would not have thought of on my own. It was all right. It helped a lot when I got stuck. I think it was very beneficial and helped me to find a prompt and ideas for my topic. And I think AI was beneficial because it has way more topics than I could think of. So it was generally very positive. And then we turned it on, we turned it off, and we created a very controlled environment for them to use it and apply it. The new New York State standards, which are computer science and digital fluency standards, I met with the grade level chairs and the ILT members, and I created a crosswalk and had them put in all where we already hit on these standards. And then over the summer, we have summer PD where teachers will come in and work to find the gaps and holes where we are missing these standards that are required by the state, and we will input them into the curriculum. So we have that as one summer PD, and then the other summer professional development that we're offering is artificial intelligence in the classroom, both for staff and how to use it with students. We're also excited that we'll be adding esports as a course next year. We currently have video game club at Batavia High School, and next year we'll be adding esports as a course that students can take, and they will compete against other schools, and it essentially runs like a sport. You have a season, there's matches, and we think that it will be another opportunity to engage students who would rather be home playing video games than be in school. So excited about that as well. Some processes and procedures that we put in place. So really trying to clean up the software that teachers and staff are using, what they're signing into, what they're putting their personal identifiable information into. So created a software request form, put it on the class link pages, the home pages of staff, so they can request basically that I and Dr. Corey look into software that they're requesting and see if we want something that we want to purchase for the district or not. The Brightly work order system has been extremely successful. We have more work orders in the last 5 months than we had last year. And so staff are using that. We're responding to them in an extremely timely manner. We shifted some of the ordering that was happening. So departments that were placing orders, we have really driven it to all go through me, and I place the order on aidable funds. So instead of special ed department, for example, using special ed department funds, it will go through the technology department, and then we get aid back on those purchases. And we've done the same with the Office of Curriculum and Instruction. We're setting ongoing phishing campaigns and training for staff, which I know that you are all aware of. We've included cybersecurity in our district safety committee meetings, that we use a risk matrix, and we go over different software, hardware that we have in the district, and with that committee, discuss what we would do if that went down or it was accessed. We scheduled semi-annual audit of users and the access that they have. Secure location of username and passwords in school tool. So what was in place before was we had a Google Sheet that was shared amongst certain individuals that had student IDs, passwords, information on there. As you know, a Google Sheet is shared with one click. So we eliminated that sheet and we put everything in the school tool, which is password protected. You have to have a login to access it. Been working very closely with Tricia Finnegan and the HR department for onboarding and setting up new users correctly the first time, so their first day of work is very smooth and successful. We've reviewed access of users at all ends and created workflows for what their responsibilities include. Collaborated with Dr. Corey and Mr. Corzelius to prepare staff and students for computer-based testing, which I will say went extremely smooth from the technology end. Students knew what they were doing, staff knew what they were doing, so a lot of preparation went into that, preparing them, and we know now what we need to do next year when we expand the computer-based testing to grades 3 through 8. Created an employee responsibility chart, and I also sent a monthly newsletter district-wide that includes some cybersecurity information as well as tips and tricks and just information on what we have to offer as a district. Hardware upgrades. We began installing these Samsung boards. The high school, middle school are complete. John Kennedy is also complete. We'll have that done before the end of the year. The original plan was to have that done by September of 2024, so we're way ahead of schedule on that. We upgraded the docking stations that work with the laptop and the boards. What was happening is the ones that were initially ordered could not handle the capacity of the multiple screens, and so we ended up getting different ones that work perfectly and seamless for staff, where they aren't having issues of the screens going black or the laptops, shutting down and turning back on. We have all touchscreen devices in grades K through 1 at Jackson, and we have prepared already touchscreen devices for grades 2 through 9 next year. So beginning of the next school year, we will have touchscreen Chromebooks for grades K through 9 in our district, which is honestly completely necessary, especially with computer-based testing, especially with math in computer-based testing. We ordered and delivered styluses as well, and we're also preparing iPads for the UPK classrooms next year as well. Some software that we've introduced or upgraded. School Tool, we're shifting to a cloud-based platform, which essentially is just going to let School Tool run much smoother, allow us to have more backup on it, and the platform itself will be much faster when teachers log into it. Some additional programs we've added: News ELA, Cami, Pear Deck. We added the Wit and Wisdom online teacher resources for our ELA curriculum. When we add these things, what I do is I send them out in my monthly memo that we have them. I went to the buildings to train the teachers on how to use them. And then on the website, our ongoing learning site, we have how-to videos. So teachers can look up the applications that we've purchased and see how can they use them in their classroom. We also have added Google Voice for our registrar, which is a wonderful feature. So now when we have families that are trying to register for school and English is not their native language, we have Google Voice set up for our registrar to seamlessly set families up. And with the help of Mr. Smith, we reestablished Google Translate for everyone, which is a priority for our ENL department and our ENL students. Google Translate was off due to past potential security issues. Those have since been resolved, and so now we're able to have it, and the ENL department has been extremely grateful for that. Some network upgrades. We discovered that the district was paying for an additional internet line to Robert Morris, where the architects of the last capital project were housed. So we have abolished that line, which has saved us some money each month. We upgraded our Spectrum line for the district from 1 gigabyte to 2, and what this has done is allowed us to go almost completely wireless in the district. So, or in the high school and middle school, and eventually John County and Jackson as well. The benefit of this is that it allows for when teachers have laptops and they are moving throughout the building, they're not losing what they're doing. Teachers e-list, they can go to different rooms, they can still have what they had up before working on it, take their laptops with them, take them home with them, bring them back. It just makes the workflow much more seamless. We went to an almost all Wi-Fi approach at the middle school as a test. That worked wonderfully. So now at the high school, we have the same structure in place. And lastly, we have, I'm just going to show you quickly our ongoing learning site. On our ongoing learning site, which is an icon on our ClassLink page or homepage for teachers, we have quick fixes. So what my hope is that, not that teachers feel like they can't put tickets into Brightly, but that we are really increasing the capacity of our staff and their technological skills. So when they're having an issue, they can go on, they can search on the website what the problem is, find a quick how to fix it, and try to fix it themselves. Also, this will allow us to turn tickets around quicker because we can send them to that if the fix is on there already. So if there's someone's having my Chromebook, keyboard is typed in a different language, we can just send them to that site. Here's the link, here's how you fix it. And now we have successfully assisted the teachers with their problem and also taught them how to fix it in the future themselves. So if I just click on this, just to show you quickly, what we have, you can search here for whatever you might be looking for, whether it be an instructional application or, like I said, a problem you might be having. We have, under instructional applications, we have eDoctrina, Papercut, GoGuardian, Boom Cards, vocabulary. None of this really means much to you, understand that, but these are all things that teachers are using on a daily basis. And so, we want teachers to utilize eDoctrina reports. So not only do we want them to give assessments in eDoctrina, but then take that data and use it for their instruction. And so we put in a quick video that just shows or takes you through the steps of how you can do this. So it just walks them through. We don't have to sit there for the whole thing. We have Google as well. And then on here, if teachers feel like something is that they want to know is not there, I put a form in there so they can just put in, I'm looking for blank, can you please add a tutorial of how to do that? So teachers can submit what they're looking for and wanting to learn more. We also have some videos on our new Samsung boards that Mr. Bastine had made that show how to walk staff through how to use these. This has been super helpful because in the beginning of the year, me and a couple of members of my department went to the high school, went to the middle school, we gave presentations, but it was the beginning of September. And so teachers are thinking about their rosters, their classes, their room setup, their rosters changing, their first day, everything else, the meetings they have to attend. So when we went through, here's how you use these boards, they're like, oh, okay, got it, right? But now we have these videos that they can go back to see, okay, how do, I'm struggling with changing the color of the pen. It's a little thing, but it's real, right? So we're showing them how to do that with these tutorial videos, and this is something that we'll keep up constantly. And then I have my monthly memos up there so that staff can refer back to them, or I can refer staff back to them in the future. And that has been the last 5 months or so for me.
From what I recall, those videos Brian showed, I think that was I'm pretty sure that was one of the recommendations from that peer review we had. And it was one of those longer reaching goals that the consultants had for us, so I'm pleased that we have it happening now. It really has been well received and is more than needed, so good job.
Thank you. Yeah, we've gotten great feedback already from staff that, will send me, I like to joke around, many staff know that, so they'll send me a funny email about, I don't need your help anymore, I can do this myself, which really is what we're going for, so it's great. Any questions? Okay.
Mr. Sun, thank you very much, sir. Doing a great
Thank you.
job. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Have a good night.
Thank
You too. Thank you, sir. All right, next up, Mr. Smith, Superintendent's Report.
So, thank you. Just want to recognize a couple events. A couple weeks ago, we had our annual Decision Day celebration. Our seniors toured all of our schools. It really is a wonderful day to be a part of and witness. This year I went to John Kennedy, and it's very heartwarming to see our teachers embrace the former students and our little ones giving them kids high fives. So just want to recognize the high school staff for that. Peyton stole my thunder on the stars of on the Broadway Stars Tomorrow event. I did go to that. It was a great event. Our kids, Peyton was exactly right. We did well last year in terms of how we performed. Didn't receive any recognitions this year. As Peyton said, we did very well with that. Sectionals are happening as we speak. I've been to a couple of the senior nights, so I wish our athletic team's best wishes with that. We did have 3 random math testing last week. Something interesting that the board may recall or not, in August, we had Brett Frank here from the city to speak to us about a Lead on the Water campaign. That's now about 8 months later. We got a nice email from the city last week. I met with our high school principal, and we have a campaign going with our students. They gave us some PowerPoint presentations. Each PowerPoint presentation included a brief tour of the city contains water plant, along with age-appropriate videos about water systems. The aim, obviously, is to engage our youth in civic responsibility by making sure that our city is aware, or our city residents are aware of the lead of the water. So Molly and I work with Jenny Westbound on that, Anthony and Callie, our science teachers leading the way in that. And Molly's been something in the middle school, right? Very happy for middle school stuff. We do that in circles.
Yes.
So that's happening across the district as well. Capital project, last week we had a very good user group meeting at Robert Morris. We toured Robert Morris, the middle school in Jackson, to begin some of the more detailed work. We're still currently in phase 1, which is the roofs. There will be an update for the board later this summer, early fall, from the whole team, the architects and the construction manager on the status of the project. And I want to thank again the team and the board for the work on the budget that we just shared. A couple of dates for the board to be aware of. June 17th is our next meeting. It will be at the BHS library, and we'll be honoring our retirees there. So that will begin at 5:15. Brittany will send out lots of information on that. And then on July 1st, Monday, July 1st, we'll have a quick reorganizational meeting at 8 a.m. And I've done it to accommodate some of the board members' schedules. That should be done in about 10 to 15 minutes. Again, information will be out on prior to July 1st, the annual reorg meeting. Then our regular meeting will be in 2 weeks later. Day after, Brittany?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Any questions? Yeah, thank you.
All right, Ms. Smith, thank you very much. All right, next up is consent grouping. Going to need a motion to approve the consensus agenda for items G through L. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Ms. Benedict, can I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Anderson?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
All right, next up is new business. Policy updates required by law and reviewed by the policy committee with request to waive a second reading. Can I have a motion, please? Ms. Linda, can I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Bennett?
All in favor?
Aye.
And any opposed? Okay.
All right, and then up next would be the administrative reports for from curriculum, operations, and business office are obviously online, so please take a look at those. Any board members and anything they would like to share with us? Nothing? Did I miss anything? All right. So I'm going to move on to a call for executive session. The board will not return to public session. This is a call for executive session, so we'll need a motion to move to executive session to discuss matters relating to the medical, financial, credit, or employment history, or a particular person or corporation for matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation.
I'd also add a second reading to talk about collective negotiations per state law. So we are going to discuss some contractual items with the board meetings.
Okay. Can I have a motion, please?
So
Mr. Rigo, can I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Anderson?
Mhm. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
We're in executive session.